Okay. The APS uses client-server architecture. In simple terms, the client-server architecture is a way of designing softwares where two main parts communicate. The client, which is your application, like a web app, mobile app, or desktop app, that sends requests that requires a data or services. The server, which is an Autodesk cloud platform where all the data processing and services live. APS provides APIs that allows your client application to do amazing things like uploading or translating CAD or BIM files, accessing model data, or even creating custom workflows for design and construction. Whenever your app needs something, it sends a request to the APS server. The server processes it and sends back the response. This ensures that your app can work smoothly without worrying about storing or managing large design files locally. So essentially, APS acts as a powerful server in the cloud while your app is the client that communicates with it. This architecture makes it scalable, secure, and efficient. That's a quick look at how APS uses client-server architecture to make design and engineering work easier for developers and companies. Okay, now let's start the code. Let's start coding with the APS. Okay, go to your search and search for and Visual Studio Code. Okay, everyone, please open your Visual Studio. I have created a folder. So in the desktop, I have created a folder called ACC Bootcamp. And inside the Bootcamp folder, I have created one more folder called ACC Administrator Sample. So I'm just gonna open this folder inside my VS Code. Now I'm gonna open ACC Administrator. ACC Admin Sample. So let's start working with ACC. Okay, if you see here, I'm inside a folder called ACC Administrator Sample. Okay, now go to View and select Terminal. Now, in the terminal, type Node-V. So this shows I have the Node.js version of 22.14.0 installed. Now, let's do the first step. Let's type npm init 1. Okay, this command initializes a new Node.js project. It automatically creates package.json file in your folder with some default settings. Like, okay, if I open this, you can see it has some default settings like name, version, and some other details. I hope everyone is following up. So what I have did is I just copied the path of the folder and I open the Visual Studio Code. So this is my Visual Studio Code. So I'm gonna click open folder and I'm gonna paste the folder path here and I'm gonna click select folder. So this opens my folder inside my Visual Studio Code. Next, by default, you should see the terminal here. If you don't, just go to Views and select Terminal. So by now, you should see your terminal here. Now, inside the terminal, type npm in it by same as what is mentioned in the documentation. So I'm just copy pasting it here. So if you see, once this command runs, we have it created a package.json file. So basically, this command initiates a new Node.js project. It automatically creates a package.json file inside your ACC administration folder with some default settings. So if you open package.json file, you will see the default settings like project name, the version, and some other details. I hope everyone I hope everyone has completed this step. npm init hyphen. Okay. When working with Autodesk Construction Cloud, we are not gonna call the ACC API endpoints directly. Instead, we will use the SDK packages developed by APS SDK team. These SDKs makes our job much easier. They handle all endpoint calls, configurations, and authentication behind the scenes. So instead of spending time on complex setup, we just pass the required values and SDKs. We just pass the required values and the SDK takes care of the rest. Now let's install these required SDK packages. To do that, copy or type npm install. So, and click enter. So I'm just pasting the same here. So you guys can, I'm just pasting the same command in the chat. So you guys can copy it and paste it into your terminal. After copy pasting it, you need to click enter. So we have installed the packages.env, express and cookie session. Now we need to do the same for the next APS SDK packages. I'm just copy pasting the same here. To everyone. Okay, I have sent the packages command. So next, I'm going to paste it here and click enter. Okay, yes. So to verify whether your packages are installed successfully, just go to package.json and if you see under dependencies, you can see the list of installed packages. Okay, now let's move to the next step. Now If you take a look at the Node modules folder, it contains all the files and libraries from the packages we just installed. This is where Node.js keeps all the code dependencies used in your projects. Okay. Now let's organize the project. We are going to create 3 folders. Okay. The first one is W. So I am here. You should not be selecting this node module. Just click package.json and click create new folder and type www root. There should not be any space. So it should be www root and click enter. Now we are gonna create next folder, which is routes, and click enter. So make sure the routes and routes are inside ACC administrator sample, not inside any of this node modules, or the www root should not be inside routes, or route should not be inside root. So please make sure that. So after that, I'm going to create one more folder, which is nothing, services. So we have created 3 folders. One is routes, and another one is services, and another one is www root. Okay, this www root is for client-side assets. Things like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and images. And routes, this is where we will define our server endpoints. And services is where we will keep reusable logic that can be shared across different routes. Next, we are going to create config.js file in the root folder, not in the routes folder. So this is this ACC administrator sample. This is what we call the root folder. So we have an option called create new file. So once you click it, type config.js and click enter. So if you see config is inside ACC administrator sample, it is not inside any of the folders we just now created. Okay, this config.js file runs when the server starts up. It reads the environmental variables from the .env file and make them accessible for use in our code. So before going into config.js file, so we have created config.js file. We are going to create one more file. So I'm clicking new file and I'm naming it .env. Okay. Now I'm copying this section and I'm pasting it inside .env file. Yes, somebody has raised a hand. Okay. Now, okay. Give me a thumbs up if you are following up and whether we came out with the next step or not. Are you guys following up? Okay. I can see lots of thumbs up. Okay. We have created a .env file, and inside the .env file, we have placed, we are gonna pass the client ID, client secret, callback URL, and server session secret. So we are gonna copy paste. So let's go to our app. So let's go to our app we created, and I'm gonna copy the client ID and I'm gonna paste it here. Okay. Next, I'm gonna copy the client secret and I'm gonna paste it here. In the .env file, you will notice a callback URL. It is where the users are redirected after signing in with their Autodesk account. To set it up, simply copy. So I think we have already placed the same callback URL here. If you see, it is http localhost 8080 API auth callback. We are using the same callback URL here. So basically, as I mentioned, it is where users are redirected after signing in with the Autodesk account. And we have server session secret here, which I will come back to you later in a minute. Next, let's set up the, if you go to our tutorial here, next, we are going to set up the launch configurations. The launch.json file defines how your Node.js project runs and debugs inside VS Code. It tells VS Code which file to start, what environmental variables to load, and how to attach the debugger. This makes it super convenient to run and debug your app directly from your IDE. So to do that, let's go to run and select add configuration. Here, select Node.js. So so you will see a launch.json file. Now from the tutorial, just copy this whole thing and paste it here. I haven't added anything to config.js file yet. So we just created it, but we haven't added anything yet. So right now you need to, so I'm just sending you the, okay. Okay. So I will just, you just need to go to view. Someone is asking me how to work with this launch.json file. So I'm just showing you here. You just need to say, go to view and select, sorry, you just need to go to run and select add configuration. Run add configuration. That's it. And it will ask you to select an option in which you need to select Node.js. So this will open launch.json file. So once this file got opened, you need to copy this and you need to paste it here. This is the launch settings your Node.js project runs. And so this launch.json file defines how your Node.js project runs and debugs inside VS Code. Okay. Now, next, what we are going to do is we are going to go to config.js file and we are going to copy this content and paste it here. Now, if you see the first line of config.js, we are using required, we are importing the package .env.config. So this line helps us to read the APS client ID, APS client secret, and callback URL and server session secret from .env file. if you see the first line, so if you see the next line, we have APS client ID, client secret, APS callback URL, server session secret, and port values from .env file. So we haven't mentioned port here. I will come back to you later. So, but if you see, we have imported port here. But if you see the .env file, we have only server session secret. We have only 4 values, port not defined here. So I will come back to that later. Okay, if the values are not found, if APS client ID, client secret, or callback URL or server session secret, it's not found, we are gonna throw an error and exit the process. If we have values, we are exporting these values via module so that we can use those exported values in other files. I hope this is clear. Do we need to click on add configurations? Yes, you need to go to run, add add configurations. That will open launch.json file. I hope this step is clear. Now, let's create server. To do that, create server. So, like config.js file, we need to create server.js file and copy server.js content here. Yeah, if you open launch.j, if you opened launch.json file, it will be inside, it will be inside .vs code. So inside your project, ACC administrator sample, there will be .vs code, and inside the .vs code, you will see launch.json file. Okay. Now we have created server.js file, server.js file. For now, the server is not doing much. If you see, we have used server session secret here. Let me explain what this server session secret is. So for now, I'm just copying the client ID and pasting it in as server session secret. So let me explain what this server session secret is. If you see, we have installed cookie session package. When we create a web server, we often need to remember information about a user. For example, if they are logged in, we could ask them to log in every time if we could ask them to log in every time they visit a new page, but that would be inconvenient. This is where cookies comes in. Cookies allows the server to store small piece of information on user's browser. To make this safe, we use server session secret. Think of server session secret as like a secret key or password that only the server knows. When the server sends session information to the user in a cookie, it signs in with server secret. It signs in with the secret. Later, when the user makes another request, the server can check the signature to make sure the cookie has not been tampered or changed with. If someone tries to modify the cookie, the server will detect it immediately. By using this session secret with cookies, we can remember the users securely. We can store things like user ID and login status in the cookie, and server can verify it every time. This way, the user does not have to log in repeatedly, and this session remains safe from hackers. In short, the server session secret combined with cookies Let us to authenticate users securely and conveniently without asking them to log in on every request. Okay, I hope that's clear on how what's the server session secret is. Okay, let's move to next step. So this creates an express application which is your web server. Think of app as your server instance where you will define routes, middleware, and configurations. Okay, the next line. This tells the server to serve static files from the www root folder. Any HTML, CSS, or JavaScript or images in this folder can be accessed directly via the browser. In the next line, this tells the server to sorry, in the next line, here we are going to be using cookie session middleware to manage the sessions. If you see, we have server session secret here. This is the key used to sign in the session cookies so server can detect if they are modified with. So, and we have set maximum age to 1 day, which is nothing but 24 hours, 60 minutes, 60 minutes, 60 seconds, and 1000 milliseconds. Basically, this middleware allows you to store and access user-specific data, request.session, securely using cookies. So user does not have to authenticate every time. Next, in this line, this starts the server and makes it listen for the incoming request on the port specified by the port variable. If you see, we haven't used port variable here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to this .env file and type port equal to 8080. Just you need to type in the line 5, you need to type port since we are using capital here, all things should be capital. Port inside the env file, you need to type port and 80, set its value as 8080. So this is the callback function. Once your server starts running once your server starts running, this callback function logs a message confirming that your server is running. So as I mentioned, right now the server isn't doing much. It's just serving client-side assets from www subfolder and accessing session data stored in the where did you get the session secret phrase. So for now, as I mentioned, I just copied my you can pass any strings here. It should be a combination of numbers. To make it secure, it should be a combination of letters, numbers, and special characters. For now, I have used my own client ID here. I hope that is clear. Okay. Okay, for now, as I mentioned, for now, the server is not doing much, just serving the client-side assets from the subfolders and accessing session data stored in cookies. Now, let's open package.json file and inside scripts, after test, give a comma, and after that, type start and node server.js. This will help us to start the server when we call npm start. Now go to file and save all. So I have saved, I have clicked save all. Now go to run and click start debugging, or you can click F5, F5 in your keyboard if you are using Windows. Or you can, yeah, as I mentioned, you need to go to run and click start debugging. If you see here, you will see server listening on port 8080 in the debug console. You will see this message. Now open Chrome or your preferred web browser and go to https localhost 8080. So yes, it should be http localhost 8080. The server responds with cannot get because we haven't added any logic to it yet. Now, this completes the application setup of our project. Next, we will look into authentication. Okay, okay, let's move to the next step, which is authentication. So we have completed the first part of our tutorial. Now we are going to move to the next part. In this step, okay, I'm running the before doing the changes, I'm just stopping the session. So right, so now we can start working with the Visual Studio here. Okay. In the next step, we are extending our server implementation so that it can authenticate itself with the Autodesk Platform Service or APS. It will guide the user through the three-legged OAuth workflow and generate access token for various needs. Let's start by creating a new file called aps.js inside the services folder. So I'm just clicking services, and inside it, I'm typing aps.js. So under services, I have created aps.js. This file will contain all our APS logic that will be used across different areas of our server application. Let's, and I'm adding the lines of code, and I'm going to explain it what it's going to do. Okay. These two lines import classes from, so these lines import classes from our APS SDK packages. The SDK manage builder helps us to create the SDK, it helps us to create main SDK manager, and authentication client provides method for handling OAuth operations. We also import scopes to define permission and response type to specify OAuth response type. Next, copy pasting this line. Here, we are bringing in our client ID, client secret, and callback URL from the config file. If you see config file, we have exported client ID, client secret, and callback URL. So we are importing the client ID and client secret and callback URL from the config.js file. Okay. We now create an empty service object and export it immediately. So we can attach our authentication function and make them available elsewhere in the projects, means in other files. So we are gonna write our functions and attach it to services, and we are gonna export it so that we can use these functions, these services functions in other files. Next, so we create and build. So we create and build the SDK manager, then use it to uh, initialize our authentication client, which gives us all the OAuth capabilities we need. So we are just creating the SDK manage builder, and we are building it and we are passing it inside the authentication client. So this gives us the OAuth capabilities, all the OAuth capabilities we need. This function get authorization URL generates the login URL where users will be redirected to start the three-leg authentication workflow. It, it includes client ID, callback URL, and a response type as code, and the access scopes. I hope this is clear. So basically this runs when the, sorry, this generates a login URL where user will be redirected to start the three-leg authentication workflow. Next, we have auth callback middleware. This middleware runs when the user successfully logs in and it's redirected back to our app. It takes the authentication, it takes the authentication code written by the APS and exchanges it for an access token and refresh token. So it takes the code and it helps us to get the access token and refresh token. Okay, if you see here, we then, once we have the access token and refresh token, we then store these tokens in a user session. So the subsequent requests can use them without re-authenticating. We also calculate when the token will expire and finally call next to continue to the next workflow. Sorry, next flow. Next, we have used auth refresh middleware, another express middleware. It ensures that for any request requiring the APS access, our tokens are still valid and refreshes them if they have expired. If you see here, if there is no refresh token, it means the user has not logged in. So we send back a 401 unauthorized response. If the token is expired, we request a new access token by using the refresh token. So if you see, we have authentication client, refresh token, and we are passing the generated refresh token here. So this generates a new access token by using the refresh token. If you see, we are passing the same client ID, client secret, and scopes value here. And we are again storing the access token and refresh token in the user session. We then update the session with new credentials. We also attach a simplified token object to the request. So the downstream routes can use it directly. Next, we call uh, next again to move to next step. Finally, we have get user profile. It uses an existing access token to retrieve the additional user detail from APS. If you see, we are passing the token, we are passing the access token here and getting the user info. Now, let's move to next step, which is server endpoints. We have already built our authentication logic inside this aps.js file. Now it's time to expose the functionality to the outside world through a set of API endpoints in our server. Let's start by creating a new file called auth.js inside routes subfolder. So inside routes, I'm creating auth.js. Enter. I hope this is clear. Now, this file will uh, define all of our authentication related routes. First, I'm copy pasting it here. So in the first line, we first imported Express and 4 helper functions created earlier. If you see, we have get user profile, auth refresh middleware, auth callback middleware, and get authorization URL. We are importing all those functions inside here. Then we create new Express router instance. This router acts like a mini application that will handle all the API auth routes. Okay, this is the first route, get, sorry, this is the first route, get API auth login. It starts the login process. When the user visits this URL, they are redirected to the Autodesk login page using the authorization URL we generate in our helper function. Using the authorization, so get authorization URL is the helper function here. The next one is get API auth logout function. Okay. The next, it simply clears the user's session data, effectively logging them out of our app. Then it redirects them back to the home page. So basically, this clears the user session. That's it. And redirects to the home page. Now, this route, get API auth callback, is special. This is the URL that Autodesk redirects to after the user's logs in successfully. We use our auth callback middleware here to handle the returned authorization code, exchange it for access tokens, and store those tokens in the session. Then we redirect the user back to the home page. So I'm explaining one more again, this auth callback middleware. It handles the returned authorization code, exchanges it for access token, and store those tokens in the session. Then this last route, get API auth profile. It uses the auth refresh middleware to make sure the user has valid token. If everything checks out, we call get user profile to retrieve the information about the authenticated user. Finally, we send the information back to the client as a simple JSON response containing the username. At the end, we export the router so it can be mounted into our main server.js file. Now, let's go back to server.js file, and we are gonna access the we are gonna pass this line. What this line is gonna do is it is gonna this is a middleware. This is gonna access the auth.js file, and this is gonna do so when we call this endpoints, our app knows where to go. I hope this is clear. Give me a thumbs up if you are following this, and if you have any questions, can we move to the next step? Okay. Uh, We have now connected our server to the APS authentication system, allowing users to sign in, stay signed in securely, and retrieving the profile information, all through a simple express.js routes. With this in place, our backend is ready to handle the authentication smoothly. Now that we have implemented all of our authentication routes, it's time to test the application. If your application is still running, okay, I'm just gonna go and click save all. And if your application is still running, just stop the debugging or and restart it. You can do that by going to run, and there will be restart debugging. If your application is already running after saving, you need to come here and click restart debugging. If not, you need to click start debugging. Okay, run start debugging. It's already running. Okay, start debugging. Okay, okay, let me close this. And I'm just gonna stop it. Now run start debugging. Now this should work. Terminal view. Yes, my server is running now. So if you, so I'm just gonna type HTTP localhost 8080 slash API slash auth slash login. when you visit this URL, I'm just gonna send the URL in chat so you people can use it. Host 8080 slash auth slash login. So you just need to copy paste this URL in your web browser and it will ask you to log in. You need to give you a client ID and client secret. Once you provide your client ID and client secret, you will be logged in. Once you are logged in, you will see a response in the web pages, cannot get. And this is completely fine if you cannot get. Give me a thumbs up if you're saying cannot get after you have logged in. Okay. You see thumbs ups. Okay. Here is the interesting part. Even though we don't have a home page yet, our authentication process has already worked. I see some messages. I see some messages. Some people are not getting it. You need to go to http localhost 8080 slash API slash auth slash login, and it will ask you to log in. And once you are logged in, it should show you cannot get slash. It should show you this. So our authentication process has already worked. If you open the web, if you open your browser's developer tool, to do that, you need to open browser. So just right click on your web page and click inspect. Now go to application tab and look at the cookies and select this HTTP localhost 8080. You will notice here, you will notice something new. The application has already stored the authentication data. If you see, this is our generated access token. Like I mentioned, our application has stored our access token in the cookies. So the user does not have to log in each and every time when he sends a request, when he uses the web page. This confirms our three-leg workflow with Autodesk is now working end-to-end from generating the login URL to signing in and securely storing the session data on the client. Now, this completes the authentication part. So some people are not getting, some people are saying they are getting some errors. I'm just, you just need to create under services, you just need to create aps.js and you need to add this functions. And after that, you need to go to auth.js. Yeah, you need to add this, and under APS you need to add this, and auth you need to add this, and server.js you need to add API app.use routes./auth.js. Once you have added this, you need to stop the debugging. You need to stop running your app if it is already running, and you need to click Save All and click Start Debugging or Restart Debugging. And then you need to use HTTP localhost. I'm just, for your reference, I'm just pasting it here. You need to use HTTP localhost 8080 API auth login. So if you click enter, it will ask you to log in. You need to provide your ID and password. And once you are logged in, you will be shown with web page will show cannot get slash. And you need to go to inspect and go to application, and under cookies, if you select HTTP localhost 8080, you will see the access token here. Can we move to the next step? It is redirect me to page signin.autodesk.com. Okay. For those, this process is not working, make sure you added HTTP localhost 8080 API auth callback here, and you added the required file and functions, and you imported that in server.js, and you use the URL I sent in. Yes, you need to get cannot get slash, correct. And if you go to inspect under application, under inspect, you need to choose application tab, and under cookies, you will see the access token. Okay, let's move to the next step. In this step, we are going to extend our server so that it can browse the projects of Autodesk Construction Cloud. Essentially, what we want to do is fetch the hierarchy of hubs and projects using the Autodesk data management APIs. Let's start by creating some helper methods to browse through the hubs and projects. We will be doing this inside the file called services aps.js. We have already created aps.js and a services folder. You need to open that file. Now, I'm gonna copy this data management client. I'm gonna paste it here. Okay. This imports data management client, the main tool that let us access hubs, projects, folders, and files inside the Autodesk Construction Cloud. Next, I'm adding data management client, passing the SDK inside. The data management client, this will handle data management, like I said, browsing hubs, projects. This gives us all the functions to access hubs and projects. Now, let's add logic to get hubs and projects. So after get user profile, copying this and pasting it here. Okay. We are creating a asynchronous function called getHubs. It takes in token, the user's access token, to authenticate the API request. The next line, constant response data management API.getHubs. This line calls data management API to retrieve all the hubs that the user has access to. We are passing the access token as a part of the request. And in the next line, what we are doing is we are filtering the hubs list. Some hubs may not be relevant. So we only return those IDs that starts with B dot that indicate either it's a BIM 360 or ACC hubs. I hope this is clear. So we are getting all the hubs that starts. So this will filter and get hubs that starts with B dot. Next, we have this function called get projects. This is another asynchronous function. It takes two parameters, the hub ID and user access token. This line uses data management API to get all the projects under a specific hub. Again, we are passing the access token and hub ID here. As I mentioned, we are, if you see return response.data, we filter the projects so that only those of type ACC, Autodesk Construction Cloud projects, are returned. This ensures we only see relevant construction cloud projects. Okay, I hope this is clear. Okay, if one more thing to note about this GitHubs project. This GitHubs project only returns the project where you, the current user, are currently involved. It is not same as the ACC Admin API, which lists all the projects, even the one you are not part of. So you need to be clear on what this GitHubs projects function do. It only returns project where you, the current user, are actually involved. Now that we have our helper function, let's expose them as API endpoints. We will create a new file inside the routes folder called hubs.js. So under routes folder, I'm creating hubs.js. I'm just copy pasting it. I already mentioned about this express. As I mentioned, we are exporting the functions get projects and get hubs from aps.js file. We are accessing it inside hubs.js, and we are creating a router. Next, I'm copying this line. This applies the authentication middleware to all routes under /API/hubs. So before any request runs, it ensures the user's token is valid and refreshed. Now, this defines our first endpoint /API/hubs. It's a GET request used to fetch all the hubs. So inside it, we call getHubs function passing the OAuth token. Then we send the hubs list back to the client as JSON response. If something goes wrong, we pass the error to the next handler. So this get hubs. So we have already written a function here to list get hubs. We are just calling it here by passing the access token. So next we are gonna do something similar for projects. Okay, it reads the hubs ID from the URL. So if you see, we have mentioned something like this. After hubs, we have mentioned something like this. So what this means is it reads the hub ID from the URL, fetches the related projects and send them as JSON. Okay. So we are passing hub ID here. We are getting the hub ID from the request parameter, request.params. So when we pass hub ID here, it will be accessed here. So with the help of hub ID and access token, we are getting all the projects under this hub ID. And we are sending the projects as JSON response. Next, we are going to use module.exports. This means the route, this makes the route available to our main server.js file. So now go to server.js file and add use require dot slash routes, and we need to provide the hubs.js file path here. I hope this is clear. Now let's test it. I'm gonna click save all, and I'm going to clear my terminal. If your app is already running, just restart it. Mine is not running, so I'm just going to run and I'm clicking start debugging. Okay, someone is asking about server.js. I just added, so we have created hubs.js file here. After auth. So before app.listen, I just access hub.js file here. So when we go to the endpoints defined in hubs.js, we will be able to get our app will be able to access the hubs details. I hope this is clear. Now my server is running on port 8080. I'm making sure this is okay. Now in the web page, I need to type HTTP localhost 8080/API/hubs. Yeah. Okay, someone has right. So if you go to localhost 8080/API and /hubs, you should see a JSON list of all hubs you have access to. So if you have missed the login procedure in the previous step or restarted your server application, or if you are not able to access API hubs, you just uh, go to localhost 8080/API/auth/login. So you just go here. So once you are logged in, you will be shown with page like get slash something, And once you are logged in, then you access localhost 8080 API hubs. This should show you the hubs list. Give me a thumbs up if you are able to see the see your hubs, so we can move to the next step. Now let's copy this hub ID. I'm just copying my hub ID and I'm gonna type http localhost 8080 slash API slash hubs slash my hub ID slash projects. Yeah. Okay. I will explain what I did. So I just copied my hub ID. So if you go to slash API slash hubs, you will see the ID of your hub. I just copied my hub ID and I just type localhost slash API slash hubs and pasted my hub ID. And I added slash and slash projects. So this gives me all the projects under my hub. If you can see the list of projects and their details present under my hub. I hope this is clear. Are you guys able to see the projects under your hubs? Okay, I see thumbs ups. Or some of your reference, I'm just so I just sent a URL. You just copy it and paste it in your browser. And instead of hub ID, you just pass your hub ID. This should list all your projects. Uh, yes, we have completed the next part. We have completed the project browsing. We are now able to get the hubs and the projects inside our hub. Next, we are gonna move to account admin. So some of you guys are still getting some error message. I will wait for a minute or two so you guys can catch up. I just, once again, I just copy pasted the URL in the chat. You just copy the URL, paste it in your browser and pass your hub ID. It should list all the projects. Uh, for some of you who are getting 404 or something, make sure you have access to the hubs. You have correct valid access to the hubs and projects. Let's wait for a minute and okay. If you have any, if you are not able to see hubs or project, please add it to the Q&A. So me and so my colleagues, my teammates will help you to track the error. Can we move to the next step? We have completed project browsing, and next is account admin. I'm just okay. Just okay. Okay. Next, we are going to implement account admin access in our server. So what does that mean? It means our server will be able to fetch and create ACC projects and even manage users all automatically through the Autodesk APIs. Okay, first, inside services aps.js file, we are gonna import admin client SDK. This is a special toolbox from Autodesk APS that let us manage accounts, not just the project, not just the projects the signed in user is a part of. Once imported, we create a new instance. So we have imported admin client. Uh, Once imported, we are going to create a new instance. And now, just like any other authentication or data management client, we have our account admin client ready to use. Now, let's create a function to fetch all the projects. Give me a second. Okay, let's start. I'm just going to copy this services get projects ACC. I'm going to paste it after get projects. Okay. Here, we define a new async function that needs the account ID and an OAuth token. Then we created an empty array to store the collected projects from all pages. Here, it starts reading result from the first project. So we have set value as 0. Next, we have total result. This is like a placeholder. It will later store how many total projects exits. Next, we are starting a loop and calling admin client dot get projects. This requires one page of project starting with current offset, which is 0. So if you see, we are passing offset value as 0. So what this means is we may have hundreds of projects inside our account. The APS cannot fetch all those 100 projects in a single request. So we are gonna get it in pages. So that's why we are setting it offset value as 0 when we send our first request, and during our next request we are gonna increase the offset value. Once we get all the projects using get projects API, we are gonna concat it and add it to all projects array. We then move the offset forward to the next page next time. This updates the total number of projects from the response metadata. So this keeps looping until we fetch all the pages. And once, so we are getting all the projects from the pages and we are adding it to all projects array, and we are returning the all projects we are returning all projects, and we are going to use this function to get all the projects present under ACC. So basically, we add a method that loops through all pages of result using pagination. So no matter how many projects your account has, we will get all of them. ACC does not return all projects in one API call if the project list is large. Instead, it returns limited number per page and it gives metadata for next page. This is great for admin dashboard, reporting, and automation, anything requiring the full project list. Okay, I hope this get projects ACC is clear. Next, we are gonna move to create new project. So we have a async function that requires account ID, project info. The project info is nothing but details like project name, type, start date. So since this is create project API, we need project info, right? We need project name and type and start date. That will help us to create the project, and we are passing the authentication token. Next, we are calling create project API. It attempts to create the project with the provided data. We are using an await here. So this is asynchronous. After the project gets created, we send an API result back to the caller. So this response will include new project ID, name, and status. Next, we have get project ACC. So in admin client, we have a function called get projects. So okay. So this get project ACC is a function used to retrieve full details of ACC project using its project ID. It is mainly used when you want to check a project's current status, like whether the project status is pending or active, and you want to retrieve the metadata after creation, or you want to show the project details in UI. So here we have defined an async function requiring project ID, which project to read, and token for authentication. And then we are calling Autodesk API to fetch project details. It uses await, so it waits for a response. And once we get the project details, it returns the result back to the caller containing the project info. I hope this get project is clear. Next, we have get project users ACC. So this function fetches all users in a project from Autodesk ACC Admin API, even if results are split across multiple pages. ACC does not, so like I mentioned for projects, ACC does not return all users in one API call if the user list is large. Instead, it returns a limited number per page and gives the metadata for next page. So if you see here, it makes an API request with a pagination info. We are setting offset value. So during first time, the offset value will be 0 from so it will return the first page, which will contain the user details. To get the next page user details, you need to set offset value. You need to increase the offset value, and you need to again send the request. And this will get the users from the next page. And each time when you get the users, you are adding those details to the all users array, and at the end we are returning all the users. Is it clear? Can you give me a thumbs up if create project, get project ACC, create project users is clear? Okay. Next, we have ACC add project admin ACC. So this function adds a user as an administrator to the Autodesk ACC project. Specifically, gives them admin permission. This function is important. I will explain why in the upcoming steps. So please make a note of this function, add project admin ACC. This is really important. I will explain you in the upcoming steps. So here we built a JSON body, user body with user email and admin permission. We then call admin API, assign project users, and then we pass project ID, user body, and access token. So this waits for a response. Since we are using this is asynchronous, this waits for a response, and it returns the API response to the caller. So basically, by providing the email ID and some details here, we are assigning the project. We are we are assigning the project user as project admin. We are, after adding the user, we are going to call add project admin. That is going to make the users as project admin. Next, import project users ACC. This function bulk imports multiple users into specific Autodesk ACC project in a single API call. Instead of adding user one by one using assign project user, this API can take an array of users and provision them all together. So if you see, we are passing the project ID, which is the target project ID, and in project user, we are passing an array of object users, including and permissions, and we are passing access token here. Now, let's move to the next step. Now create admin.js under routes folder. So we have created under routes folder, we have created a file called admin.js. I just copy pasted these lines. So these are same as what I explained in previous steps. We are using Express, we are using the body parser, and we are importing the functions. We are exporting functions from aps.js and we are importing it inside admin.js file. We are creating a router and we are using auth refresh middleware. So I already explained what this auth refresh middleware is. It helps us to keep the session alive. Okay, let's move to the next step. I'm just copying this and pasting it here. It defines a route, it defines a get route API admin projects. It allows client to fetch. So this route API get API admin projects allows client to fetch all ACC projects. So how we are going to do that? So when somebody goes to API admin projects and use get method, we are going to call get projects ACC. I already explained how this get projects ACC uh, gets and returns all the projects. So inside get projects ACC, we are passing the account ID and the auth token. So after getting the projects, we are returning the projects as JSON response. Next, we have routes get API admin projects. So I already explained how this get project ACC works. So when we call API admin project in a get request, so this will call get project ACC function and this will return the project info. So we are adding that project info to project list and we are sending the project list as JSON response. Okay, let's move to the next step. Routes. Yes, this one is important. This one is a bit tricky. So I hope. So this one is a bit tricky. Let me explain. Okay, here we defined a post route at API admin projects. This is used to create multiple projects at once. It uses body parser.json to pass JSON request body. And okay, inside from the request body, so since if you don't use body parser.json, we will not be able to read the account ID and data come present inside this body. It will throw an exception. That's why we are using body parser.json middleware. This body parser.json is a middleware that helps you to read this account ID and data from the request body. So basically, while sending a post request, you uh, you type the data, you provide the data in a body and send it as a post request. So when you use body parser.json, this helps you to read those data and access it inside your function. So from the body parser.json, we are accessing the account ID and data. And in the next line, it initializes an array to track successful projects. It will return an API response. So I will explain this later. Okay, if you have projects fail. So this we initialize an array to track failed projects and await promise. Now we are looping through all projects in parallel. It efficiently create multiple projects at the same time. So when we are using promise here, so basically we are looping through all the projects in parallel and it efficiently creates multiple projects at the runtime, at the same time. And inside the promise, we are using projects.map and we are accessing each project inside this project list. And in this line, it calls the service to create a single project. It returns a project info, including ID and initial status. So when you call create project ACC, it returns ID and also the initial status. So from after using create project, we are accessing the name parameter and access it to projects created. This is a asynchronous operation. So what this basically means is when you create a project, it will take some time to actually create project in ACC. So when you call create project ACC, inside the ACC, you will see the project status as pending or not active. So we need to wait for a second or 1 or 2 seconds to make the project as active. So here, that's why we are looping to wait until the projects become. So if you see here, we are looping uh, until the projects become active. Here we uses 1 second delay between the checks. So when the project gets created, we are just checking the status, whether the status value is active. If not, we are waiting for 1 second, which is 1000 milliseconds. And using the get project ACC, we are again getting the project info. And once we get the project info, we are again checking the status, whether the project has become active. This loop runs until the project status is active. I hope this part is clear. Can you give me a thumbs up if this part is clear? Otherwise, I can explain because this is really important. Okay, I see lots of thumbs up. Yeah, let's move to the next step. Okay, in this line, we get the current user profile needed to assign admin access to self. So when the user, so in this line, I'm talking about this line number 47. So in this line, sorry, we we are trying to assign the current user as we are trying to assign admin access to self. So okay, let me explain these two lines so it will be clear. Okay. Uh, Okay, I want your attention on this line because this line is also really important. Now, when we are making the current logged in user as the so when we are making the current logged in user as the project admin, I told you earlier, this is I will here, please note there is a difference between API and UI when it comes to creating a new project. In the UI, the creator of the project is automatically added as a project admin. However, when using API, this does not happen automatically. So, as developers, we need to explicitly assign the creator of project as the project admin in the code. That's exactly why we use this particular line of code here to ensure the creator has proper admin privilege rights from the start. Is it clear? Because is it uh, give me a thumbs up if this is clear. So we are creating a project. We are making the current user. We are getting the current logged in user details. So in UI, in UI, when the project gets created, the creator automatically is assigned as a project administrator. But this does not happen when you work with APIs. So we are explicitly getting the get user. We are explicitly getting the current logged in user details, and with the help of add project admin ACC, we are making them as the current admin. This step is really important because this is the difference. There is a difference when working with UI and API. And And finally, if the project fails, we are adding it to project fail session. We are adding it to project fail array, and we are returning it. And at the end, we are returning a JSON response of projects that are succeeded and projects that are failed. Uh, okay, I hope we have completed this part. I hope this section is clear. Let's move to the next step. Okay, here we are defining a get route at API admin project users. This is used to fetch all the users in the specific ACC project. In the next line, if you see, we have used get project user ACC, and we are providing the project ID here. So, and we are passing the access token. So it returns the project user from this project ID. That's it. This one is simple. And next we are defining a post routed API admin project user. This is used to bulk import user into project. It uses body parser.json to parse the JSON request body. So in this line, it reads the project ID from the request body. It determines which ACC project to import the user into. Next, in this line, it wraps the user data into a user object. Uh, the request.body.data is an array of user object with emails and permissions. And this calls the service function to bulk import user. It sends the user list and access token to ACC admin API. And we are sending the API response back to the client. It includes whether success or it includes status like success or failure for each imported user. So in summary, what this does is it bulk imports multiple users into a project in one API call. It updates the permission if the user already exists or returns a detailed response for success or failure per user. And at the end, as usual, we are going to add module.exports equal router and mount the router to our server application by modifying server.js file. Now I'm going to stop debugging if it is already running, and I'm going to click save all. Now let's test it. Now I'm going to run, start debugging. So my server is running. I don't have anything else. Okay, now I'm going here and I type HTTP localhost 8080/API/hubs. Okay, now I'm copying my hub ID. Are you guys following? I just type HTTP localhost 8080/API/hubs, and it returns the hub ID. I just copied the hub ID. After copying the hub ID, I'm just saying HTTP localhost 8080/API/admin slash projects, and I'm typing account ID equal to my account ID. So my account ID, which is nothing but hub ID. So if you guys see the documentation, it is already mentioned here. You can follow it. So use the ID, we need to remove B dot. So after getting the hubs, we need to remove B dot and we need to use this URL, and inside your account ID, you need to paste your hub ID you got from previous step. So I'm passing the account ID, clicking enter. So if you see, it returns a JSON list of all projects available under the specified hub. Okay, are you guys able to see all the projects under your specified hub? Can you give me a thumbs up? So this includes project ID, the details of all the projects, and last sign in and longitude, like all project details. So this is to get all the projects. Now let's check how to get it for a single project. For that, sorry, we are going to get all the users present under those projects. So for that, what we are going to do is, let's take a project ID, like any project ID. So if you see, it returns all the project ID, right? I'm going to copy any one project ID. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to get user under this project ID, or maybe yeah, it returns the user under the specific, it returns the list of user under the specific project ID.